Hello, gamers, and welcome back to Co-Ag Conversations. I'm your host, Doom Cutie, and here with me today we have the incredible Amanda from Ground Zero Gaming. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
It's fantastic to have you here. I really love that we met organically. I have to say, I'm going to start with that because how we met was actually probably one of my favorite meet cutes ever. And I've been I've been I've been to a few gaming events, and I've encountered people on social media, but when I saw Amanda sitting on one of the stalls at was it Planet Royale in the Perth CBD, sitting with three guys, I did not realize that she was the strategy and engagement manager for Ground Zero Gaming. So, oh my goodness, it's always so interesting meeting people, and from that, you're now on the podcast.
I know, and I actually do have a little bit of a favorite part of that meeting as well, because I remember you came up to me and asked if I was a streamer, and I was so excited that you actually thought I could be cool enough to be a streamer. So that just made my day.
Well, I'm glad you weren't offended, because that would have been the last thing that I wanted. But okay, so to put it in context for everyone who doesn't know what the heck is going on, at the end of November there was a catch up for the Twitch Perth community, and it was held at Planet Royale, and there was a lot of streamers there, and I put myself in that category because I'm like, well, I stream my podcast live, and we go live when we do charity events, so that that's kind of the same thing. And then I suppose it was kind of easy for me to assume everyone was a streamer. But Amanda looks so young. She fit in. She very, very lovely, and lovely to see you here at COAG. So thank you for being here.
No worries.
Not a problem. Now I must start with a question. We had a little bit of chat in the green room about your recent gaming habits, and I would love to chat about the game that captured your fantasy, your attention in 2023. Amanda, what was that game?
That was Hogwarts Legacy.
Hey, you know what? That was my game of the year, and it's so good.
It's so good, and I'm so glad you prefaced that with the game that captured me for 2023, because it literally took me almost all of 2023 to actually get through it, because I just don't have as much time as I'd love to be able to spend playing games like that. And I think we actually downloaded it on the day it was released as well, which was like early Feb. So yeah, it took me a while, but I got there.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like the best games, especially for women who are, we're business women. We've got things to do. We've got places to be, people to see, and we don't always spend our time in the dark, not touching grass, playing video games. And Hogwarts Legacy is a fantastic example of a game that you can pick up and put down and still feel so much connection to. And yeah, like it's a total vibe, really.
Absolutely. And I always love it when you have those games where you can spend like a good 45 minutes designing your character at the start. I'm a Sims girl at heart, so that just ticks all of my boxes.
Oh, my days. Yes. Well, it's lovely to hear someone, giving Hogwarts Legacy a little bit of love, because it was snubbed a little bit in the Game Awards. Not gonna lie. But we true gamers know what it meant to us, for sure. All right, let's get into you, Amanda. So you're not the typical kind of guest that we bring on. You're a bit more professional. You're a bit more out there in the business world, and I'd really like to delve into how you ended up working with Ground Zero Gaming.
Sure. Well, thank you for making me feel so important, by the way, with that little bit of an intro. Yeah, look, I mean, aside from The Sims and a bit of Pokemon and Hogwarts Legacy, I am not your typical gamer girl. But for me, being involved with Ground Zero Gaming was just something that happened organically, mostly because it was my husband, Bo, who founded Ground Zero and is the CEO. So it was, I think, back in 2017. He created Ground Zero Gaming, and it started off as like a local little community for Western Australian gamers because there wasn't something locally in the community that could facilitate that. So that's where it kind of started out. And then it's grown over the years to where it is today. And so my role in that from day one is just being involved in I guess bringing my skill set, which, as you mentioned, being in the business or professional world, I've got a bit of a background in marketing, communications, business development, contract management, a lot of the, typical business side of things. So I bring a lot of that lens and sit in the back end mostly, which is where I like to be, behind the scenes, not so much as in front of the camera or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's just been that journey of seeing Bo's dream of Ground Zero Gaming come to life. And I mean, the Ground Zero in itself. Do you remember Gfinity back in 2018?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that's where Ground Zero kind of have that pivot point from being the local Western Australian community of gamers into really the national stage and really setting us up as a professional esports team.
Yeah, okay.
So if anyone who doesn't know who Ground Zero is, we are primarily a professional esports organization and also lean into the gaming entertainment space too. So in that pro esports scene, Gfinity was really what put us onto the national stage and elevated us into some of those big names in the Australian esports scene when we secured the Perth franchise for Gfinity. So we played in that, and that ran over a couple of months every weekend. It was in Sydney. It was probably the biggest thing that Australia had seen at the time in terms of that kind of level of production. So that's where we got into Street Fighter, Rocket League, and Counter-Strike. And from there, we just kind of kept growing and evolving and building on from there to where we are today, which in that pro space, we've been pretty successful in Rocket League, and we've got our League of Legends team as well. So that's that little esports space. And then I've just been in the background kind of supporting the growth and development of that as we've moved along.
Yeah, it's actually quite an involved industry. Like you think about esports leagues, it's not simply like gathering a bunch of like young people together and getting them to like play a game together. There's so much that goes into it. Can you kind of, I don't know, kind of bullet point like what actually goes into an esports organization?
Oh, it's really fascinating, but and it's exciting, but it's also mega stressful. And there's just so much more that goes into it than what people think. And I mean, first of all, we have seen over the years so many esport orgs kind of start up and then fade away or kind of die a spectacular death. And a lot of the times that's because these kids with no business experience, no background in that space, think they either see the clout that comes with having an esports team, or they think there's lots of money to be made and they just pull together players and they make a team and they think they can make it big, and then it all starts to fall apart when you have people who don't have the right experience from running a business. And that's essentially what it is. I like to tell people like to think about it like a professional sporting team, because essentially that's what it is. We have players, we have coaches who are under a contract to play. And a key part of that is making sure that you look after your players, that you pay your players, which I know seems to be some kind of an ongoing issue in the industry, and that you actually run it like an organization. So yeah, for us, that's that key part. You're you're scouting the players that are out there, and you're building teams. And, Rocket League, for example, which is one of our most successful teams we have over the years. If you have a look, we've had so many different players, so many different rosters come and go. And then that's a result of scouting new players. You need to make sure when it's a team sport that they all work together. And then, of course, it's negotiating terms, and you've got contracts, and contracts go out of date. And so you're constantly trading and buying and building teams. So it's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and that's Bo's bread and butter. He loves it. That's his space to kind of get right into the weeds of all of that. Whereas for me, I look at that and go, wow, that's exhausting.
Yeah, I can only imagine, dealing with people. Like, obviously you're more on a brand side of things, and obviously the relationships, the professional relationships on that business level, whereas he's more on the ground level, like figuring out who's actually going to get out there and do the work for Ground Zero. What would you say is your biggest challenge in the role that you're playing? Because, look, I don't want you to take offense to this, but when I walked up to you and I saw that table, and I did get a little bit sassy, because I knew at the moment I figured out who you were. I knew exactly you were the neck and he was the head. You are the brains. You were the only one there with a notepad, for crying out loud. Like, I don't know what the other guys were taking their notes, but Amanda was sitting there with two of her work colleagues, and you wouldn't think that at first glance. So for me, like, do you find it difficult to kind of get the guys to, like, I guess, focus, or to believe in what your vision is for the company?
That's a funny one. So that was actually like the only opportunity we had to have like a bit of a business meeting for one of the events we have coming up. And so I was like, right, I've got you both there. I need to pick your brains, and I'll take it all down so we can go away and start organizing. I'm a planner, so I need to have all of that. Whereas Bo in particular, very much the visionary. Has lots of great ideas and is go, but not so great at the planning, which is then where we work quite well in that way as a team, because I'm always there to go, cool, right, let's pull out what you're thinking. Let's get it all down so we can then go and make it happen, because not everything is just bang, bang, bang. So that's
what
why
a
I was
queen, the queen of Ground Zero. Let me tell you, none of that would happen without someone like Amanda.
That's the other thing, right? You ask anyone, and Bo's going to kill me for saying this, but you ask anyone, they know who's the real boss of Ground Zero.
No, but I knew that straight away. I was like, I don't need any other information. I know exactly what's going on here. I don't care what number meeting this was, but the vibe is there. This lady means business. Please respect her. Like, that was but like, do you ever find it like, so obviously you're in an intimate relationship with your boss, even though you might act like more of a partner, but like, that's another level of complexity that's there. Like, Amanda, how do you do it?
Everyone asks me that all the time. It's the strangest thing. I think just because we're best friends, and we work so well together. We have very similar personalities, but also very different personalities that are complementary, particularly when it comes to the skill sets that we have that work in building Ground Zero. So that's where that comes into play. It's I think we both have that similar personality piece where we can be direct and fiery at the same time, but then best of friends and just make things happen.
Okay, that's fantastic that you guys hold on to that and appreciate each other's differences, and keep that going, because I can imagine that for some people, and it's probably more than likely not just in esports, but anyone who enters a professional relationship with their the partner, like, my goodness, what a minefield. And like and I mean, at the end of the day, like, esports is really male dominated. You are a woman in this space. Like, you're a powerhouse, don't get me wrong, but like, I mean, I don't think anyone has probably ever said no to you for fear of, I don't know. Like, and that's great. I'm trying to perfect that art, but I'm terrible at it. But like, I just want to know, like, when you're like, hello, I'm Amanda, I'm the strategy and engagement manager for Ground Zero Gaming. Like, do people just all of a sudden like act better because they know your title, or do they assume you're just like some extra?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because not very many people will then talk to me if they don't know who I am or or what role I play. But I think one, now having that, being part of Ground Zero Gaming, especially in that esports space, you immediately get that level of respect, especially then when it comes to the title. That's part of the business operations side of it there. So but yeah, no, I mean, I mostly sit in the behind the scenes driving it anyway, not so much kind of front of house, particularly in the esports space. Where I am front of house is in the I guess more of the corporate side of things. So I do a lot of the engagement with partners, particularly when we get to those non-endemic brands, and that's my world naturally. So for me, that's not any kind of an issue at all, and it's more so if I'm engaging in that esports space, it's alongside the men in the organization who automatically get that level of respect, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. No, I would hate the thought that, such an intelligent woman. Oh my God, I feel like I'm brown nosing a little bit, but like, honestly, like, you're so impressive, Amanda.
Like, thank you.
I would hate to think that someone like you is like, let's say like maybe you have to go down to the event and, you're there and like someone assumes that you're backstage and you're like one of the players' mums. Like, I can only imagine that would be just like heart-wrenching.
Oh my God. Well, firstly, if they thought I was a player's mum, it's actually kind of devastating that's like probably plausible for starters, with how young some of these players are. But also,
that's another thing as well.
I'd just be devastated that I'm so sorry. I try so hard to preserve my like youth. And now
do you know how many steps my skincare routine is?
Right? How much money I spend on this?
You know how expensive my sunscreen is?
I have zero issues in correcting people or introducing myself and making it clear who I am and what I do. That's, I guess, just me. I maybe also enjoy it, putting people in their place, particularly if they're being a little bit egotistical or rude. That's just me.
Look, we love a confident queen here at COEG, so do not stress.
You also take a look in the mirror because you are absolutely killing it, being able to create what you've created and also killing it with just all of your guests that you're going on and everything that you're building. You are an absolute queen, so don't sell yourself short.
Oh, no, I'm not selling myself short, but if I wanted to toot my own horn all day, I would have my own vlog. Like, I would just talk to a camera all day about how good I am. But I know for a fact from my experience that there's just not enough female voices in this space. And
definitely,
you've said to me that you are behind the scenes. So when the mums, when the sisters come to these events, with their brother or son or whatever, they don't see you, Amanda. They see the people, whoever's hosting or, whoever's on the front line. It's Bo up there saying, hey guys, welcome to my event. Isn't it so amazing? And, no offense to, obviously he's a CEO, but like, there are so many people behind the scenes that just aren't there. So it's all about that representation and just giving people a voice. And that's why I'm so happy you're here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when it comes to the event space as well, so the esports space is probably where I have more of a backseat. When we move into what I said at the start about gaming entertainment organization, when we shift into that event space, that's when I guess I do play more of a front and center role there. And one of my favorite parts is when we're actually at the events and running it. Which often, because Bo and I both work full-time jobs, so we often will then on weekends running the events. And one of my favorite parts is actually talking to the parents and actually trying to actually just break that stereotype around gaming, because a lot of them just listen to what they see in the paper or what they hear on mainstream news channels, which we all know can be a
The fact
little
that they
bit
still
on the
read the
biased
paper,
side.
like,
And yes, and all about clickbait, fear mongering, all of that
yeah.
kind of thing, right? So what we have I guess a bit of a foundation in that community space, and what's really important to me is just making sure that, particularly as a female, that I can talk to these parents and talk to them about how gaming is not just a boys thing, how it's not negative, how there are all of these fantastic, really important skills that their kids are actually learning when they're engaging in a safe gaming environment. And I mean, you even just look at the pro esports side, these teams, they actually need to have good communication skills. They need to have good teamwork. They need to actually have diligence and commitment in their practice schedules. They need to actually be really quite quick with their reaction times and with their thinking. There's lots of strategy in place. So there is so much. And that's the piece where what I thrive on as well, is that really trying to have those conversations with the community, and particularly parents, to break that stereotype around gaming being a boys thing, or gaming just being something really annoying that the kids should spend less time doing.
Oh, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. As an educator in this space, the amount of times that I have encountered parents who are like, oh, my child is wasting time doing this. Or, like, oh, that, the gamification of education is actually a massive thing at the moment. And the for parents to buy in to that is extremely difficult. So, you are on the ground, you are talking to those parents and saying, you know what, your child is learning. They're in a safe space. They can experiment, they can gain confidence, they can gain friendships, and all these really valuable skills that are transferable to whatever environment that they're in, no matter how old they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even we got, and most of the players that we have on our rosters, they're all, 16, 17, 18, 19
Yep.
in that age group, right? So this is their first job. And the
Yeah.
skills that this also teaches them about just responsibility and committing to something and
Yeah.
learning how to prioritize and work together. It is so important for their development as well, and that sense of maturity in their development. But even, and you mentioned like build friendships, that's something in the event space that we run, that's something that I absolutely love seeing all the time, is that when we have kids that come down and make friends,
Yeah.
and they actually then return day after day, and they just make these friends playing games together, and it's just so beautiful to see. And the other layer on that as well is the inclusivity, and just being able to, everyone's on the same level playing field, and
That's
it's
right.
just so beautiful to see. And it's just trying to break these negative stereotypes of gaming is a really important part of what I do, or what I love to bring to this side of it, and what Ground Zero Gaming stands for, particularly in our community event space.
Yes, most definitely. And the more people who are spreading that message, honestly, the better it will be. Because honestly, you'll probably have less fights with your child, and your child is probably going to want to talk to you more instead of you just telling them not to do something. This is probably it's a little bit more of a personal story, but I had a particular student, 15 years old. He did so well on standardized tests. But this particular student did not do a scrap of work for me. But you know what? He loved RPGs. He'd played God of War like 10 times. He could read, he could write, he could do maths. And I think think it's because he played a lot of video games. I think that was his like saving grace. Like his parents weren't that invested in his education, and I think he just like got it from that, and it was such an incredible thing. And yeah, like I said, you guys are doing the most. We love to see it. We love it. When we all play, we all win, you know? It's just fantastic. So
Absolutely.
well done. Well done to you and the team at Ground Zero. And I wish you all the best for your future and upcoming events. Now, you did mention that, you know, one of your favorite things is connecting with people. Is there anything else that particularly stands out to you in regards to your experience or any achievements that you yourself made for Ground Zero?
Look, I think, you know, our journey from where we started in 2017, and how many years ago is that now? 6, almost 7 years ago now.
Hey.
You know, just seeing that grow from that little local community of gamers into where it is today is just something that makes me so proud. The fact that, you know, we've been able to keep building and building and growing and making such an impact, not just in that the Australian esports scene, but also in communities as well. So something that I'm particularly proud of is this community event space. So, you know, I've talked about it quite a bit, but, you know, essentially it was 2019 where we did our first community event. COVID the following year kind of like stifled it a little, but we bounced back the year after. But, you know, essentially we partner with retail precincts or lifestyle entertainment precincts to bring free video gaming activations to the community during school holidays as an activity. And the first one we did, we partnered with Forest Place in the Perth CBD. And that was a part of their Forest Live festival. Yeah, it was awesome. They were running this festival called Forest Live, and we had a video gaming booth, and that was kind of the first iteration of our events. And we'd never done anything like that before.
So all these PCs outside, all these gamers like getting sunburnt. Like
it's like for the very first one we did, it was just actually probably one of the most challenging because yes, we were running PCs, or we had gaming laptops. We were running them all outside in the middle of Murray Street Mall, which is also huge security. I think we had like 24-hour security rolling. Because the whole thing, it couldn't even be like locked away or anything. We just had to kind of close some curtains and have our security guard there the whole time and hope for the best. But I mean, you know, that was amazing. That was just such a whirlwind. I actually have an event management background as well. So the organization,
that was the event nightmare then.
It's my jam. So this is my time to shine. So yeah, that was the first one we did. And that was a free event for just people to be drawn to the city and to just actually stop by and play some Rocket League. And then post-COVID, we ramped it back up with shopping centres. And so we were actually, we've been down in Mandurah, we've been up in Joondalup, and essentially we partner with those shopping centres to actually bring one-stop shop. We bring the equipment, we bring the staff, we bring the whole atmosphere, we build the different sets and experiences, and essentially just set up video games for kids to come down and play. And it is such a simple concept, but it's something that has made such an impact. We've been blown away by such positive feedback. And even what I've really loved is when we have kids who come down every day. And we had some kids who would come down every day because they don't have a console at home. And this was just the most amazing thing to them, that they could come down and play for free, and they made friends, and it was just incredible. So for me, being able to see where this particular piece has evolved from and where it's going to is just awesome, because we're able to then bring just how fantastic, all the positives around gaming, and we can bring that to the community and even build. We always have that bit of a pro esports element to everything that we do, so we can also help support building the Australian esports scene, which the more that we can keep getting the word out, keep promoting it, keep getting awareness and an audience for it, then we can help support the whole ecosystem here to keep going.
And you know what? This goes so, sorry for interrupting. This goes so far beyond like getting a bunch of like little teenagers to like, yeah, I'm in a competition playing Rocket League. It's like you are literally you were out there. It's community outreach. You're creating a sense of belonging within these children, and so many of them, they're desperate for it, and they don't have the resources for this kind of thing, and they're making friends and they're having fun. Everyone have fun.
And the coolest thing, right? So we run this in partnership with these retail precincts in school holidays, as because all these shopping centers, they run school holiday activities, and what we found was that most of the time their activities are aimed for little kids.
Yes.
And they'll just be really, really interactive activities, but just for little kids, which when
it's painting or it's coloring,
or
create
or
a
it's,
wreath.
Yes, or it's dress up characters that are really only magical to when you're really, really little. So what we found, and that's one of our I guess biggest unique features of what we do then, is that this is something for the whole family. And we have your 3-year-old who's just mashing the buttons thinking that they're part of it, or sitting on dad's lap playing while dad's actually playing. But then you've got like everyone from little kids to the teenagers to mum and dad jumping on and all playing each other. And it really is that whole inclusive, family-friendly activity that everyone can get involved with, which is just such a cool thing. And I was going to say before, the biggest challenge we've had in growing this space is just again coming down to getting that understanding of gaming in the mainstream environment, and the amount of conversations that we then have to have. And then that's part of then what I do at the beginning in when engaging with these retail centers, is about how exciting and how important gaming is, and how it is a positive thing, and what this could actually offer to their local community as a draw card to bringing people into their center. Because a lot of people, particularly if they're not into gaming, will just, or if they're of an older generation, will they just look at it and go, no, this does not sound like a great idea. We're going to.
It almost reinforces their feelings that they already have, because
Correct.
they have that cognitive dissonance about their assumptions.
Yes. So we've been lucky to, we've worked with some fantastic partners over the last couple of years, and in doing so, we've been able to build and build each time, and really start to share that message that gaming can be a really fun, exciting, awesome, positive thing.
That's amazing. And I love it. Gushing. Love to see it. Oh my days. I have like all the warm and fuzzies about this, because it's just so cool. And it removes so many, it's a social lubricant, it removes barriers, it just love it.
I really enjoy that term, social lubricant. Have not heard that before. I am absolutely going to be using that.
Oh, well, I can't remember the name of the person that I actually got it from. It was when I was at South by Southwest, and they were talking about play as in like physical play, like play as a medium for being social. And this woman carries Lego with her everywhere, and she just like puts the Lego and she like puts it together, and then like people help her, and that's her social lubricant. But yeah, this is the I guess the more digital version.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, so obviously like this didn't just come about like all of a sudden. You obviously have had so many years experience within gaming that have been positive. So I kind of want you to like think about before, Bo. Was gaming on your radar, or was it because of your relationship?
Oh no, absolutely. So I guess the more serious competitive esports side is there because of both. But for me, like I said before, I grew up on every version of The Sims. I just love it. I would spend hours making my people and perfecting them and building my awesome houses.
Lovely.
And just and also even when we were younger, we had the Sega. And I just remember playing old school, because I feel like I'm showing my age now. I just realized that.
That's why I'm like, yes.
Playing Mortal Kombat with my sisters, and also like original Sonic and Alex the Kid. Like they were my jam. So gaming's always been my thing. And then also I love Pokemon. So back playing Pokemon on the DS and the 3DS, and then moved to Switch. So absolutely. But I play it for fun, and I mostly enjoy those kind of free exploring long form games, not very much a winner and a loser or super competitive. That's Bo's space.
Oh, but you know what? It's almost like you're the heart of everything that is Ground Zero Gaming, because you know how it can bring families, kids, friends all together in this, very, and like you said, even playing field, and it just creates like this incredible environment. The vibe is just like no other, really.
Absolutely, it is, and it's just I would really love to see it accelerate more in Australia. And I mean, we've seen so many high school programs, even here in WA, kind of come and go, and because there's just not that level of support there yet from our mainstream audience, or the people who are those decision makers. And it is that space of really hope that all of the work that everyone's doing in trying to boost up esports or gaming programs and build grassroots gaming and make those connections between education and skill building, and all of those positive pieces that's to do with gaming and kids, and try and get the media to stop with their fear mongering. That's sort of stuff that can really, really help. But it's a grind, as everything that everyone knows who works in esports or gaming. It is a grind. But we've seen so much growth over the past few years that we're going to get there.
You are. And you know what? I think if anyone can tell by our voices, facial expressions, whatever, I mean, number one, you wouldn't have been here this long, and I certainly wouldn't have started an uphill battle, what is my podcast, if we didn't absolutely have a passion for it. So,
100%.
It's just, don't stop, Amanda, don't stop, okay? Don't.
Noted. Will not stop. It's funny because people are always like, hey, so what are your hobbies? What do you do? And I always dread that question, because I'm like, guys, I'm really boring. I don't do anything in my spare time. I don't have time to watch Netflix. I'm just not a very exciting person. And then I realized people in the mainstream world think my involvement in esports and gaming is like the most exciting thing ever. I've never been so popular with like kids before. It's the weirdest thing. But yeah, it's just even that side of it, just that so many people just being so.
Oh my god, do you know Laser Beam? Oh my god. Like all these streamers,
Yeah, that's a hilarious piece too, where you're like, no,
Australia is like down the bottom of esports.
Yeah.
Like, no, but like we said, it's an exciting time, and with all of the funding that gaming has received in regards to development of games, it really is being considered a really serious form of entertainment, and I really hope that continues and feeds into the esports area.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen, even with the Olympics picking up some games, although I think we need to make sure they pick up the right games and not just digital versions of real, like, physical
Just
sports.
Dance was great. I thoroughly enjoyed that, actually. I watched that.
I don't know. I think they had, did I read that they had or were going, no, either were going to have it the next one or did have, just like a digital version of like golf or something like that. And I'm like,
Really?
guys,
No. Golf with friends.
Can we not do that?
Golf with friends at the Olympics with like, you know what? I think I could be an Olympian.
How amazing is that? You know, and that's a cool thing too. We've had, I think, two of our teams now compete under Team Australia at Commonwealth Games as well as Tokyo Olympics, and it is just, it's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, we definitely need to tell people about that. Doesn't matter that it was a curtain raiser event that happened weeks before the real physical Olympic, but still counts.
That is very cool. And you know what? It lends into that, all of that education for young people. And you're like, guys, this is a big deal. You know, you have to be very professional, you have to be on time, you know, like just, and yeah, like what kind of work experience gives that kind of opportunity? Not many.
Absolutely.
Like that's incredible. So well done, Amanda.
Absolutely.
Another tick for you. Oh my days. We're just living our best life out here. It's fantastic. Amanda, speaking of living our best life, what is the next exciting thing for Ground Zero Gaming? Let everyone know.
Well, so I'm going to talk about the event space because that's my love. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of exciting things happening in the esports space, but right now, most exciting for us in the community event space, we are actually about to go live with our next event, which kicks off on Friday, the 12th of January. So if you're in Perth, we are going to be down at Elizabeth Quay in the Perth CBD. There's a main space with this beautiful little piece of artwork called Spander. It's this white little statue thing. And we're actually setting up a gaming hub out in Elizabeth Quay. It's called The Cube. And in partnership with Elizabeth Quay, we're actually we are fitting out a sea container, and we are putting in consoles. We've got screens. We are building this whole chill out zone for anyone to come down and play some video games and just hang out with us from Friday the 12th of January right through until the 28th of January. Wow. So we're going to be there for 17 days. We'll be running Sundays to Thursdays from 11 till 7. And then Fridays and Saturdays, it's party time, and we're running from 11 till 10 o'clock at night. So we've got to have some tunes going. We've got video games happening. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So that's kicking off from Friday for the back end of the school holidays. And throughout that, yeah, I know. Well, it's one of those things, right? You've got your Christmas stuff, and then when that kind of like finishes and you're in this like weird lull where people have to go back to work, but they still got kids and school holidays, it's this whole, oh no, what do we do? So with all of our events, it's about drawing people into a destination. And so for us, we're working with Elizabeth Quay to make Elizabeth Quay the destination of choice for the January summer school holidays. I mean, they've got some incredible attractions and food places down at Elizabeth Quay already. So we're just then going to plug in as something a little bit different, where anyone can come down for free and just have a go, verse their friends, verse their family, have an amazing time for free. And we actually have two kind of takeover days happening during the event as well. So this Sunday, the 14th of January, we're actually partnering with a mental health not-for-profit called A Stitch in Time. So they are founded in Perth by ex-basketballer Greg Heyer, and it's a not-for-profit who look to raise awareness and educate on the importance of mental health, and that's something that's really quite aligned with what we focus on with gaming. And so we're having a takeover day with them where they're going to be down there talking to everyone, playing some games. We've got our brand ambassador, Jai Richardson, coming down as well to hang out with us and play some games on Sunday. And then on next Friday, the 19th, we're actually hosting a Twitch Perth, Stream Perth community meetup. So might see you down there on the Friday night as well from 5 p.m.
You might just do that, Amanda. So cool. I will have all of the links to all of this information to Amanda and Ground Zero Gaming down below. Make sure you keep up to date with what they're doing. They're very good at posting updates on their social media. So you'll be able to, if you don't go, you'll be able to see what you miss out on. Yeah? Yes,
Absolutely.
feel bad.
Well, we have 17 days, so
exactly.
and we're there for so long every day. No excuse. Right next to the train station, super easy.
Yes, it is. Honestly, Perth is doing the most with helping us get around to these events, and more often than not for free. So, if you can travel around Perth for free, get to a free event, it's really a no-brainer, is it?
Actually, I actually think with a Smart Rider, public transport is free in January.
Yes, if you have a Smart Rider card. So it's called something else in other states, but that's a little plastic thing. You go ding, and it lets you on there. I actually did hear something funny. Someone was saying that people were looking for people's tickets on the train, and it was free. They were going and checking everyone's Smart Rider to see if they'd tagged on, and it's that seems very redundant for what you're trying to go for.
Yes, if you have a Smart Rider, probably just go that. Excellent.
You don't need to check if I've checked on because it's free anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my days. Goodness me. Well, Amanda, thank you so very much. Amanda's on LinkedIn. I don't think she exists anywhere else on the internet, but that's okay.
Yes. Look, again, I feel like there's been far too many instances where I'm showing my age on this. Look, I do exist on the other cooler,
but that's for
cooler platforms. But
no, you know what? LinkedIn is showing to be the stable, guy friend. If I was to identify all of the social media platforms, that's what LinkedIn would be. Very stable. I can talk to them. I can cry. They'll bring me ice cream, but we're not. Actually, it's not hot,
I do exist on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it nowadays, and Discord, but that is purely because of Ground Zero, and so I can actually just hype girl Ground Zero.
Well, that's fantastic anyway. I will put Amanda's LinkedIn down below, and if you wish to contact her, connect with her, chat about Ground Zero or about her work within the industry, please give her a follow, connect with her. She's really friendly. It took her less than 12 hours to respond to me, so well done, Queen. Incredible. Thank you so much for being here. You're lovely.
No, thank you for having me. I've had a blast, and I mean, I know the time is telling me 47 minutes at the moment, and girl, I can just talk and talk and talk. So
I know. People always oh, how long is it going to be? I'm well, I say at a minimum half an hour, but I've had people talk way longer than that. So because they realize, it's quite natural, it's quite conversational, and the time just flies. We're having a good time.
Absolutely. I've had a blast. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much. And to everyone who's watching and listening, Happy New Year. This is our first episode back for the new year in 2024. It's going to be, I have a feeling it's going to be a big year for COAG. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following along. And I got nominated for an award. So definitely, yay. So just make sure you follow me. Check out our social media. And when the voting, I think there's voting, goes live, I've never done this before, but when it goes live, I will let you know. Stay safe, gamers, and we will see you next time for another episode of Confessions of a Gamer Girl. Bye.